Welcome back everyone. A while ago I talked about scary hitchhiking stories. You guys seem to love that one. I think hitchhiking may be less common these days, especially with the rise of ride-sharing apps that you can get on your phone. Maybe that's why it makes it so interesting to us to hear these stories, especially when things go horribly wrong. These are some examples of exactly that, and they aren't for the faint-hearted. My name is Danny Burke and this is the top 10 scary hitchhiking stories part 2. Starting off at number 10 now, we have the Triangle of Death. In the 1980s, the Marne region of France became known as the Triangle of Death. Young army soldiers from 3 different garrisons in the area kept mysteriously disappearing, often while hitchhiking. It started in 1980 with 19-year-old Patrick Dubois. Over the next 7 years, 7 more men vanished in the area. After a year, the police's investigation led them to Pierre Chanel as a culprit. He was also a former officer in the French army. A police patrol found him in a camper van parked suspiciously by the side of a country road. They discovered he'd been videotaping the rape and torture of a Hungarian hitchhiker he'd abducted. He was given 10 years in prison for the crime and released on probation in 1995. Afterwards though, advances in DNA evidence found traces of 3 of the missing soldiers that had vanished in the Triangle of Death in the years before. In 2001, Chanel was charged with 3 of those murders. In 2003, not long after the start of his trial, he committed suicide in his prison hospital. Moving on to number 9 now, we have The Creep. This one was told by Hoot Bear on Reddit, and I'm just going to read this in her own words. I was 18 at the time, driving to get some food on my lunch break. I saw a man probably in his 50s trying to hitch a ride. I was pretty hesitant to stop, so I drove by. I felt guilty though, remembering my mom always stopping to help people stranded on the road, homeless, out of gas, etc. So I turned around and offered a ride. He introduced himself with a name I can't remember and thanked me profusely. He apparently had groceries and told me he didn't want his meat to spoil in the hot New Mexico weather. He asked to be dropped off at the post office, which was not too far away. As I drove off, he stared at me for a good minute and the sirens went off in my head. Awkward, creepy and unsettling. After a bit, he blurted out, "You sure are pretty," and asked me for a number. I said, "No, I have a boyfriend and I'm not interested in the least bit." He kept asking and insisting my relationship status was irrelevant. I asked him to stop and he became aggressive. I veered into the closest turn-in, slammed on my brakes and yelled, "Is it too much to ask for a little good karma every now and then? Get out of my car, you cad." Yes, I said cad. He gave me a blank look, then just got out much to my surprise. He ended up forgetting his groceries, and what scared me most is the fact that there was no meat, just some eggplants and other nonsense. Now that I'm older and hopefully smarter, I will think about who I pick up a little more. That, and it also helps having my 80-pound dog in tow. Moving on to number 8 now, we have the Vanishing Lady. If you've watched any of my urban legend videos, you may recognize this one. It's sort of a reoccurring theme. In North Carolina, some people still speak of a ghostly hitchhiker known as Lydia, the Vanishing Lady. People have reported that when driving down the roads there, they see a woman trying to flag down any passing cars. They pull over and the hitchhiker gets in. They tell them her name is Lydia, that she's been to a dance and is now trying to get home. She gives the driver an address not too far away and they agree to take her there. Upon arrival, the driver will turn around to find that Lydia has vanished. Confused, they go to the door and ring the bell. An old woman answers. They explain that they picked up a woman called Lydia who wanted to be taken here, but that she just disappeared. The old woman will smile faintly. She will produce a silver picture frame with a photograph of the hitchhiking woman. The old woman will say to them, "Lydia was my daughter. She died in a car wreck by the overpass in 1923. You're not the first one, and I suppose you won't be the last. Every so often, her spirit flags down a passing driver. I suppose she still doesn't understand what happened to her. I suppose she's still trying to get home." Next up at number 7 now, we have Shotgun. This one comes from Sumat Comments. He said his older brother picked up a hitchhiker once after a night of light drinking. Just want to say, not cool. Don't even drink lightly if you're driving. After driving for a few minutes, the man pulled out a shotgun and declared that he was going to steal the car. He wasn't having any of that though, and so he slammed the brakes on his car and then tried to pull the hitchhiker out of the car and onto the ground. The hitchhiker then pulled the trigger on the shotgun and blew off a chunk of the brother's bicep before then just running off into the woods. Apparently the brother made a decent recovery but still has a chunk missing from his arm and isn't able to lift heavy things anymore. God. Next up at number 6 now, we have Thomas PRENDER GAST. In November 1958, this man picked up 16-year-old hitchhiker Carl Alfred Eder from New York. Eder was homeless and Thomas felt bad for him, but he decided to let him stay with him and his family while he got back on his feet. One day, Thomas got back from work to find that Eder was already standing outside of the house. Eder asked Thomas for a ride to San Diego. Thomas took Eder to the service station for the bus after saying he couldn't take him all the way to San Diego. When Thomas returned home, he made a horrifying discovery. Inside, he found his wife Lois had been shot to death. The couple's 4 children, all younger than 9, had been murdered with a hunting knife. Eder was captured 2 days later. He told police he had snapped when one of the children made too much noise. He was sentenced to life in prison but escaped after 16 years, leaving behind a note that read, "I've done enough time and I'm leaving." He is still on the loose to this day. If he is still alive, Eder is now 76 years old. There is currently a $20,000 reward for his capture. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Amy Billig. On March 5th, 1974, 17-year-old Amy hitchhiked through the Miami area on her own. She was planning to visit her father's office but never arrived at her destination. Amy's camera was found but she never was. As the case went cold, Amy's own mother, Susan, took it upon herself to find her daughter. She was led on many wild goose chases across the country that yielded no results. Eventually, a biker named Paul Brunch told Susan that Amy had been abducted while hitchhiking by a biker gang named the Pagans. On his deathbed, Paul is said to have confessed to his wife that Amy actually overdosed on the same day she disappeared while attending a party hosted by the Pagans. They decided to feed her bodies to alligators in the Florida Everglades. Susan died in 2005, still no closer to finding out the truth of what happened to her daughter and if those brutal rumors were true. Coming at number 4 now, we have Back of the Head. This one was told by Very Sleepy 24. They said, "There's this middle-aged man who lives in a town where I'm from. He was a genuinely sweet and caring person, and mind, this is a really small town. One day, he picked up a hitchhiker just outside of town. He told him to jump in the bed of the truck and he'll drive him to Walmart. About halfway there, the hitchhiker shot him in the back of the head for no reason. He didn't even steal anything, and if I remember correctly, he got caught. Henry didn't die, but he's been permanently disabled and has severe brain damage. I remember when I first heard that and it scared the crap out of me. That was probably about 12 years ago, but I still think about that anytime someone talks about hitchhikers. It scares me to think someone would just do something like that just because." Moving on to number 3 now, we have the Walhalla Hitchhiker. This one is in the same vein as the Vanishing Lady we talked about earlier in the video. In South Carolina, local legend says that in the 1950s, a pilot called Larry Stevens was flying over Oconee County when a hailstorm hit the area. Stevens couldn't see a thing and ended up crashing into some mountains near a local highway in the Walhalla area. Ever since then, locals have reported encounters with a hitchhiker dressed in a dark all-weather coat. He usually appears on dark and stormy nights and asks for a different location depending on the direction of the car. It's believed that the Walhalla hitchhiker is actually Larry Stevens. They say he looks like him and that he's even dressed in the same pilot clothes as Stevens was on the day he died. Next up at number 2 now, we have the stabbing. In 2016, a Polish man called Merrick was travelling across Ireland. After getting buses along the way, he decided he would try and do some hitchhiking. After a while, a family driving in a white Nissan hatchback picked him up. There were 2 children in the back of the car. One was about 7 or 8 and the other was just a 6-month-old baby. Merrick climbed into the car and started chatting about his travels. Everything seemed fine at first, but after 15 minutes he heard all the car doors lock. Merrick remembered seeing the female passenger sending a text to someone just a few minutes before. The male driver came off the main road and pulled over. A green car pulled up nearby, a man and a woman got out and started approaching them. He threw his wallet out of the window and told them to just take his money, but they didn't want that. The 2 new people and the driver of the car produced knives and proceeded to stab Merrick so many times that when paramedics arrived on the scene, he was told he was 5 minutes away from losing his life. Merrick said the scariest part for him was that the driver looked so happy while stabbing him. It's been a long road to recovery, but Merrick did survive. The perpetrators have never been found though. And finally, at number 1 now, we have the orange sock. On January 6, 1982, 29-year-old Bobby Jo Oberholzer phoned her husband Jeff to let him know that she was hanging out at a bar with friends and she was going to hitchhike home. She never made it back though. Jeff searched for her the next day and eventually found Bobby's body in a remote field. She was riddled with bullets. Strangely, an orange sock that did not belong to her was found nearby. 6 months later, the body of 21-year-old missing woman Annette K was found 13 miles away from where Bobby's was found. Here's where it gets really strange though. Annette was wearing the matching orange sock. Now police believe it was the same killer who had picked up the hitchhikers and murdered them. Annette's orange sock was likely left behind in the killer's vehicle and somehow fell out at the location Bobby was murdered. Jeff was originally a suspect in the case, but his name was finally cleared, leaving the orange sock murders officially unsolved. Well, those were very grim, weren't they? Hopefully it hasn't scared you of every single stranger in the world. Personally, I do think it's good to have a sort of healthy balance of trust and skepticism when it comes to people. What side do you lean towards most though? Let me know what you'd like to see next on the channel. Thanks as always for watching guys. My name is Danny Burke and I'll see you all in the next one.